Hello and welcome back to my channel. For this card, I'm using the big and bold stamp called Sweet Friend Cupcake from Colorado Craft Company. To start, I have stamped it slightly off of my panel, and this one is a little bit smaller than 5x7. I have also cut out a mask, which this is just lined paper that I have used some repositionable glue on the back of. And now I am adding a border of washi tape. This is just to keep my edges clean. For my ink blend, I am using Distress Oxides in Tattered Rose, Aged Mahogany, and Ground Espresso. I'm starting off the top of my panel, and I am actually starting from the very edge of my paper where it's taped. That way I don't get any harsh edges, and I'm just blending down with my lightest color. Next, I'm going to go in with my Aged Mahogany. I'm going to apply that to the center, and for this one, I'm mostly starting on the mask. That way I don't end up with any really dark spots that look kind of odd of my dark red. Now, for this, I do go back and forth a little bit between the Aged Mahogany and the Tattered Rose to make sure that it blended pretty well, because Aged Mahogany is very dark color, and of course Tattered Rose is fairly light. Alright, and last I'm going to go in with Ground Espresso, and I am going to apply that at the bottom. And again, I'm starting off of the panel, either on the washi tape border or the cupcake mask. Once that is complete and I'm happy with my blend, I can then remove the tape, which I took out the paper from underneath it because I don't need that now. And I'm just going to remove my tape very carefully, slowly. It doesn't look slow because it's sped up, but I moved it very slowly so that it didn't rip my paper. And then I took off the mask. I had contemplated leaving the cupcake on my card white, but then decided that I did not like that. So I have stamped a second cupcake. Now, the reason I didn't directly color on the first one is because I really wasn't sure what I was doing as far as colors, and I didn't want to mess up what I had done. So for my frosting, I am going with warm grays, which those were on the screen. I believe that was W00, W3, and W5, I think. When I had first started coloring this, I've colored this cupcake before, but for some reason the frosting it gives me troubles, and I always feel like I'm gonna color it in a weird way. I think it's just due to how the frosting is kind of folded over on itself or whatever. It reminds me more of flower petals, and it makes me want to color it like flower petals, but that wouldn't exactly be right. So I was struggling just a little bit. And I think it turned out okay in the end, but I had no confidence when I first went into this. So practice cupcake, I've already done, like I said, but I feel like I maybe could still practice on this one just a little bit more before I actually felt comfortable with what I was doing. But I colored this frosting the same way I color other things. I mapped out with my lightest color, went in with some darker ones for shadows, and then finished with my lightest color. Now for the actual cupcake, I am using several shades of brown, and I showed 3 right now. Those were my darker colors, and I actually pull out, I think, 2 more colors later. And all I'm doing is dots. And I'm doing dots to kind of add shading, because if you look at a cupcake, it's got a lot of texture, and that's what I was trying to mimic. So I'm keeping all of my darkest colors where I thought there would be some amount of shading, but I'm still just doing the dots. And then I'm bringing out random dots here and there. Right, yep, so here is one of my lighter markers. And then I think I use E25 next. Yep. And this one, I'm actually just going to color in the entire cupcake. When you do this, it does kind of blend out some of the spots a little bit, so I do go back in with my darker colors and add some more stippling just to continue to create the texture in the cupcake that I want. Now, using the exact same brown shades that I had used for my cupcake, I am going to make my strawberry a chocolate covered strawberry. Now this is another thing where I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing when I started. It would have helped if I had had a reference picture, but I did not have quick access to one because I film using my phone, and that's usually what I look pictures up on. So this was a little bit of a struggle. Eventually I got it. I don't know that I'm 100% happy with it, but this happens with a lot of cards I make. I just try to keep a little bit of a light spot in the center. I also ended up going over the edges of the stamp lines for the strawberry just a little bit with my darkest brown to make it look like it was actually dipped in the chocolate and not the exact same width as the strawberry. Right, for my strawberry, I think I forget to show some colors here, but I used a yellow marker at the top because I wanted it to have a brighter red color than what I was going to get with the markers that I had available to me. And I don't know, I had to skip some colors here. I think there was that marker that I had just tried to use was dried out. Unfortunately, a lot of my markers need some maintenance, and I don't have the things to do that with right now. So I think I'm out of R22 and R24. So that kind of sucks. Anyway, I struggle with the strawberry a little bit, and then I go to the cupcake wrapper. So I'm using RV 91, 93, and 95 for this. And for my shadows, I'm trying to keep it where the cupcake liner folds over, or like kind of overlaps itself. And for the ones that are directly facing you, I try to keep it in the very center because that's where I imagine the shadows would be anyway. I didn't, again, have a reference for this, so I just winged it. Maybe that should be the name of this YouTube video. I just winged it because that was the theme for the whole thing. This whole thing started out when I was playing with Distress ink color combos, and I was grabbing colors that I don't use a lot. And Tattered Rose is pretty, but I don't use it very often. And Aged Mahogany is pretty, but I don't use it very often. And I mean, I guess I use browns fairly often, but it started because of that. And when I looked at the color combination, I thought, that reminds me of a chocolate covered strawberry. And then I found this stamp because, I mean, it has a strawberry on it, and I figured I could make it work. All right, real quick here, I am trying to make highlights on my strawberry, on the chocolate and the strawberry, but I didn't want them to be super harsh. So I was trying to use my finger to kind of rub the ink around a little bit to kind of blend it. I don't love how that part turned out. I mean, it really looks fine, I guess, but I struggled with placement for everything. So that was my issue for this card. All right, after I cut out my strawberry cupcake, I am then taking this fine liner brush pen, and I'm just going around the edges to make it look like I didn't just cut it out. And here I'm trying to brighten up the cupcake liner a little bit to match the background. So I have, what was this? R11, I think. And that was just to kind of match the Tattered Rose a little bit. It was here I remembered I needed to add my sentiment. Thankfully, I added it now, because otherwise later it would have been more difficult when I had adhered my cupcake down with foam tape, which is what I'm going to do next. So this is You Are My Sweetest Blessing. This came from the same stamp set. And now I am taking this Big Mama foam tape. This is fairly low profile foam tape, and I'm going to apply it all over my cupcake. And then I attached my cutout cupcake on top. Now all that's left to do is to trim the edges of the cupcake, which I did with an X-Acto knife, and adhere my card base to a card panel, and my card is done. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be back with another video soon. Bye!